Hey, what is up, guys? So I decided to play Madolche at my local event, and we actually did quite well. We went first, a couple of games, and then lost the die roll for the rest of the event, and somehow still actually ended up winning. It did pretty well. There are a lot of things that I would okay. There's only really one thing that I'd change, and it's this piece of garbage. But besides that, it actually performed a lot better than I thought it would. The initial games were against Crystal Beast, and then there was Runic Plunder, Heroes, and Unchained, and all of them I did pretty well against, except for the Runic Plunder. I kind of only won in time with that one. The rest of them I did pretty well. The first matchup was against Crystal Beast, and that was just an easy 2-0. Their Rivalry of Warlords kind of kills the deck, as well as other things, and just being able to vomit out the board quicker than his negates can deal with it is just amazing. Then the Runic Plunder we won because there was just a point in the game where I just attacked for damage, and then we ended up having 20 minutes for game 3, and time got called, and I had already done 4k. Unchained, that was great. Sorry, Connor. But thank you for not putting the Griffin in the right place so that Caesar cannot negate my Nibiru. And the last one was against Heroes. It was someone that was playing Heroes. I don't actually remember that much about the Hero match. It was ended the same with all the others where TRMSU just went. But enough of that. Into the deck profile we go. So we play the one Pudding Cess, double Messenger Lato, triple Angeli, triple Magellan. This is pretty standard. We don't actually change any of this. You never play more than this because this only triggers when you have a beast on the field, and the third is just never comes up. Obviously the 3 of this, because this is the one where you want your opponent to ash it, because half the time when they ash this, you already have extenders with the Vernicils and other things. So sad times for this. They can't ash this one because this gets to the Pudding Cess, but if they ash it and you already have the Pudding Cess, it's great. And this is the brick. I sided this out every single game. I am almost tempted to cut this because every game too, I sided this out because I realised that you can just still do the combo and make Tierra and out the entire board. Pudding Cessa being able to detach to summon additional things is alright, but it doesn't matter with the amount of recursion that you have with the Vernicils and that. There was only really one match where I thought that this would actually come up. And that's when I nibbed my opponent and I wanted to get rid of the token, but then I realised I had a Vernicil, so I just made Tierra and then won from there. So this, you could potentially cut this and just never play this because it's a brick if you draw it, and it's very rare that you actually need its extension because if you just play the deck properly, it doesn't matter in the slightest. And then we play the 3 Pudding Cessa, the one that you always ash, and the 3 Hoot Cake. Some people play 2, I play 3, and then we side one out for game 2, because if we go second, we don't particularly need the third, we need the hand traps more. And this is just the free star. You always want this to resolve, and half the time I go this into the Hoot Cake, and then the Hoot Cake into Messenger Lato, so that I can set up a glass with some back row in that, or free access to all the hand traps that I may have used earlier in the game. I've very rarely gone this into the Pudding Cessa to do the rank 5 play because I just think that it falls too much into hand traps, and you can win a lot of games just off the glass. Like in the Unchained matchup, I just won by just disrupting his graveyard constantly, and then during my turn it was just free wins from there. And then for the Vernicils, we play 3, 3, and 1. We don't play the bear. It's mainly because I don't own the bear, but I've never actually played it, and I don't think it actually matters. Every single time that I've drawn any of these, it's perfectly fine. I did mess up in one of my games where I used this to send the Fenrir to the grave, thinking, oh, I can reborn it later on, and then my opponent called by the Fenrir and it made me waste my promenade. So just be careful with call by still floating around the format. This is the best one of all of them because this one is the one that searches the fairy, also known as the Pudding Cessa, and this just searches all the Vernicils. The only reason these are actually really good is because of the reborn effect. Half the searching I don't particularly care about in the matchups, it's just more the free reborns. And then for the hand traps, we only play 2 sets of hand traps in the sense of Ash Blossom and Orange Light, because you don't need to play more for the sole purpose of Glass Souffle can actually add these back from the grave to hand once you've established Chateau. So usually what I try and end on is Chateau and Promenade with glass up, and then these just keep on getting used constantly. It's actually how I ended up doing well against the Crystal Beast player, where I just negate the Pegasus and then when glass put this back to hand, and then he normals another the Pegasus and it gets negated. So yeah, that was fun times. It also works well with the side deck because it lets me add my Drolls back and it lets me add my Nibiru's back. And then the final monster that I play in the deck is 3 Kashtira Fenrir. I used to think this was kind of a bit weird playing it, but it's just a free disruption. You summon it, you activate its effect. If your opponent doesn't know that you're on Madolche, which game one they won't, they try to get this sometimes, and then it's just a case of like, okay, so I have free Fenrir. Well, the Fenrir is gone, now I can just play through everything else and just have free wins from there. Also, just a free way to just get stuff. It doesn't disrupt the deck at all. The only thing that kind of hurts is if you've done the Madolche lock and then you can't use the reborn of the effect of the Vernisil to bring this back. But it's still great because Vernisil can bring this back because it's nerf. And then for the spells, we play the 1 Salon, 1 Ticket, and 1 Chateau. We don't need to play any more of these. So these are the 3 that we play. The only reason we play these 3 is because Chateau is just the free card that adds all your hand drops back to hand. Ticket, I've searched this a few times. Most of the time it's actually Salon because Ticket doesn't matter as much. Once you've got Chateau in play, you just start adding stuff back to your hand. So there's no real reason for free searching. And the Salon comes up for mainly the double summon effect. The effect to set back row is alright, but it's not needed as much. If you just said it double summon, then it would be fine. Then the 3 Prosperity. So we play the 3 Prosperity for the sole purpose of we can just excavate stuff to like dig for stuff through the deck, and it actually makes the deck more consistent. Even though everything is literally a 3 of in here, you'd be surprised how many times I've like resolveful combo and then at the end of it Prosperity into the hand trap. So then glass actually makes it really great. Then we play the double talents. The reason why we play the double talents is for the sole purpose of I use the draw effect more than I use the hand rip because if you guarantee base hand traps, you don't really care about the hand rip as much. And glass makes stuff immune to monsters because you're not doing the Choco play first turn, and the only hand trap you kind of care about is Imperm because you guarantee the monster's still on the field, so Nibiru doesn't really do anything to you. Droll kind of hurts, but all the other effects don't really do anything once Droll's there. And then finally we have the 1 Promenade. Promenade's good. Well, it's for the sole purpose of it's a free negate. It's imperm for anything that's face up. I've contemplated using its effect to reattach things as material to attach the Budding Cessor, but it's not really come up. So the 1's fine because I can keep on just resetting it by just shuffling it back into the deck with Tiara and then getting it back later on in the game. And then that's it for the main. For the extra deck, it's a lot of it has been cut down. A lot of it I actually haven't used, so it doesn't really get touched that much except for the standard stuff. So we play the 2 Tiramisu, the 2 Glass Souffle, and the 2 Madolche Queen. We don't tend to use this card's second effect to summon from deck because, as I said, I very rarely summon the Pudding Cessor. It's mainly just used to shuffle stuff back or once Chateau's up. This is just a 3k beat stick that just attacks. This is the best one, seconded to Tiara. Tiara, usually one of them gets hit with Prosperity. This is the one that you always want to keep. I contemplated bumping it up to 3, but the 3rd has never come up. It's just, I guess once you get good at resource management with this, the 3rd doesn't come up. Sometimes I've contemplated playing 3 for regionals and things like that, but it doesn't tend to matter as much because not a lot of people know what Madolche does anyways. And the first time they read this, like, oh well, it's not too bad. And then once they realise the actual combo of adding stuff back, it's really good. And then there's the 1 Sistar. We don't play any more of this. It's kind of terrible at multiple copies. You only really use it as free link stuff at the end to protect field spells, so it doesn't get like Cosmic or anything like that. You can use the Glass Souffle to protect this, so then every time your opponent attacks, if you've got Chateau face up, you just add all your resources back. But yeah, that's the only really reason why we kind of play the ratios that we do. We don't need any more. It's hard to play more. We play the 1 Underworld Goddess. Never summoned this. The 1 Nightmare Phoenix. We kind of summoned this one game and then got freezing curses straight away, so yeah, it kind of did nothing. The one Asa, the only reason we play this is first. Occasionally it has reborn to Fenrir from my opponent's graveyard, but it's not really mattered too much. The original idea the reason why I actually played this was because if my opponent ever gave me an Ibly, it just gave me free link fodder so I could get rid of it. But that never really came up. You get Madolche a lot quite often, so you don't end up summoning this, as I said. It's only used for Reborn of Fenrir, and sometimes I've actually made this to ram into a monster just to get the free buff. But besides that, it's not needed. Then the one Cowboy, because time-related reasons. Bagushka, because if we can't end up killing our opponent, 9 times out of 10 I actually end up making this and then buying myself an turn and then killing my opponent. Abyss Dweller, very rarely made. There was the Dark World match that when I tested this against, I made this just game 2 free win. Didn't need to think from there. The one Tornado Dragon, this was actually played as like out to back row, again, never summoned. And the one Zeus, again, very rarely summoned, but the idea behind it is we make Bagushka, the opponent can't do anything for a while, and then we change the Bagushka to attack and then turn into a Zeus, but it just never came up. It's a great idea, but in practice just didn't do anything. And then for the side, we're actually playing a 14 card side because I couldn't find an extra Nibiru, so we played 2 Nibiru because we can't find the third. Then we play the 3 Droll Lockbird. Again, it's just another hand trap that we can add back. I don't play any of the others. I don't play what is it, D-Shifter, because it doesn't really achieve anything. It hurts your deck just as well as your opponent's. Fair enough, it can shut your opponent down, except you kind of need your graveyard. As much as Madolche wants to have nothing in the grave, you kind of need it for the Vernasil part, and you also need it so that you can use Hoot Cake. So it does kind of hurt your deck, and then if your opponent gets rid of your Shadow or something like that, then it's just gone forever and you're never getting it back. The 3 Dark Ruler no more, because this deck breaks boards really easily, so you just rule your opponent, make Tiara and a bunch of other stuff, and then they can't do anything. And then for the traps, we play the Triple Gozen match. Everything in here is Earth, which is really good. It's actually hurt a lot of decks that I've gone up against. When I went up against Crystal Beast match, I've been able to win. They couldn't do anything. Unchained, I flipped this up when they had the Shavara, which I think is a fire, and it slowed him down for a little bit. Fair enough, he had to crash the Shavara to get to other players, but it does hurt. Other matchups, it kind of doesn't do anything, but it's matchup dependent, so it just depends what you're going up against. And then the 3 Evenly, I prefer this over Lightning Storm because this just gets rid of stuff, and it's very rare that they're going to get it back with Lightning Storm, and Unchained being a deck, it doesn't do as much. Lightning Storm against Runic variants doesn't do anything, they just use Hugin Protect. So I just feel that this does a lot more, and it's the case of, fair enough, I can't kill you that turn, except I've got rid of nearly everything on your board and then reset up mine, so you aren't doing anything. So yeah, that's really the deck in a nutshell. We don't actually need anything additional for it. It's Madolche. It's just a fun deck to play, and if you get very good at it, it's very rewarding to play, I'd say. Don't expect to like win major events with it. You'd probably be, I don't know, king of locals, maybe get the occasional regional top because your opponent doesn't actually know what it does. The only suggestions that I was given on how to improve on this deck was if I wanted to add the Shizu stuff in, the ones that shuffle back, except with glass it doesn't really matter because it does the same thing. Because we don't play Small World, we can't play other things like in some Small World variants. You can play the other heralds, so you can side 1 purple and 1 green, and then use Small World into them, so that you have different forms of protection. Also, you can use it to Small World into the Shizu stuff, but again, since we don't play that, it doesn't really matter. I don't believe Small World is as good. You just give up too much stuff, and then you get drolled at the end of you resolving Small World, and it hurts your deck completely. While if you just play the stuff that I do, you get drolled at the end of a Vernasil, it's fine, because you already got the reborns and things like that. You get drolled after 1 Messenger Lato resolving, you already have access to the correct things. Fair enough, you don't end on the perfect board, but it just does what it needs to. But yeah, that's Madolche in a nutshell. So if you guys have any suggestions, I'm always great to it, because I plan on playing this next week, so hopefully we can get some future matches of that up soon. Always, I know. Peace.